Hey everyone, welcome to Empower Team Monday Night Training. I'm Natalie Gregory, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys tonight with the leaders of this team, Natalie Borges, Tova Privet, Sabrina Diaz, and Kylie Davila. And you guys, we want Natalie, you got that good smile. We want to share with you guys tonight on belief. And we all want to share our specific things that build our belief and the things that steal our belief so that you guys can be aware and you guys can know how to direct your businesses to build your belief. And I know in this business, a lot of the time we hear people talk about belief, and it becomes one of those things that goes in one ear and out the other, or doesn't hold a lot of weight because we hear it so often. But belief is something to be intentional about. It's not something that you necessarily just magically have. It's something that you get to work on and grow and develop within yourself. If you don't have belief, you get to grow it. And everything is figure outable, and that has to be a top priority, because without belief, you're not going to go very far. The number one thing that successful people at the top of this company have in common, it is rock solid belief. It is belief in themselves, belief in this business, and belief in the products. And if you have all three of those, then you're going to be successful, because that's what it takes for you to keep on showing up day after day. One very important thing to note about belief is belief leaks. Okay. Belief is like you turn on the faucet and it's going in the bathtub, and maybe the bathtub's filling up a little bit, but the drain is open. There's always going to be water going out unless you are consistently filling it up. And if you turn off that water, then your belief is going to run out and doubt is going to creep in, and you're going to want to quit, and you're not going to be having fun anymore. And you're not going to ultimately be in this for the long run. This is a long haul. And so you need belief to do that. So, first of all, my number one belief stealer is isolation. Isolation is a breeding ground for doubt. Confidence and courage comes from the community and the belonging that we have readily available here, should you choose to plug into it and lean into it. Being disconnected from our community is when the lies come in. It's when you start to feel like you don't matter. You start to feel like nobody even notices. Being disconnected from our community happens so easily because this is all virtual, right? That's why we always say it's important to get to our events that happen about quarterly, because this is a virtual business. You have to work extra hard. We're not all showing up in the same room to work together every day. You have to work at connection. You have to be the initiator. You have to go to your power partner. You have to say, hey, do you want to be a power partner? You have to initiate the conversation. Hey, what's working for you? This is what's working for me. It's doing this together. It's so important for us to do that. And so, yeah, like it takes intentionality. You have to go into the team chats. You have to look at the pages. You have to do a lot of the virtual stuff too. But the effort of doing that, it takes effort, right? And we're talking to a lot of people, but the effort of doing that, of staying connected, is worth its weight in gold as far as like staying power, longevity, all of that. So, in regards to staying connected and choosing your community, our community that we have, our culture that we have, we work really hard on building. We work very hard on keeping it a high integrity place where you can bring your people in and you can be proud of it. But when you are staying connected with people, make sure that you're choosing your community wisely. Having successful friends, having positive friends, having uplifting friends is a success habit that that successful people have in common across the board, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what success book you read. If you want to know where you're going, look at your friends, look at the people you're staying in connection with. It's absolutely, it's crucial that you do that, because of course there's within every industry, no matter where you go, there's going to be the negative ones, there's going to be the complainers. A lot of people love to connect through complaining. So that's just my little star right there. Be mindful who you're choosing, but when you find the right people, stick close to them. Okay. Okay, that's my belief sealer. My belief builder is something along the way that really helped me build my belief, is honoring promises that I make to myself. So I really struggled in the beginning of my business to believe that I was capable of achieving a high level of success. We all know how regular each of us are. Like, I know all of my flaws. I know all of my shortcomings. So you have to daily cast votes to yourself that you are the kind of person that is capable of showing up for yourself and being successful. And so when I was in a season where my confidence was low, I started waking up in the morning, and I figured out a way to make myself wake up, and that built my confidence in me being able to be successful. But also I just decided something very, very small. Even if I missed that alarm, the first step was, no matter what, I'm going to make my bed every day. And I know that's kind of a cliche thing, but I was like, I know that I can keep this promise to myself no matter what happens. Even if I sleep in, even if something happens and I don't, get up today, at least when I do get up, I can keep that promise that I make to myself. And that habit compounded and my confidence grew. And that was the next habit and the next habit and the next habit. So if you want to believe in yourself, which I think is the most important aspect of belief in regards to being successful in this space, keep promises that you make to yourself. And once you start with something small, which I recommend starting with something small, work on building your habits. Because I was a disorganized person, because I was a free spirit, because I like spontaneity, I had to read a bunch of books on habits. And they ended up being my favorite books because they built my confidence and they actually gave me more freedom and more success, which made me happier. So that your habits shape your life. Your life is just what your habits, and they're either good habits or bad habits. You can have a habit of procrastinating, or you can have a habit of planning ahead. That's the quality of your life right there. So like I said, start small. I like a morning routine, or even just making your bed. In regards to business, I always go back to just start small. Use what you can. What is the saying? What's the saying? Do what you can, use what you have, or use what you hand. Y'all know the saying. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I think that something to start off with is creating a backup bare minimum IPA. Yes, we all want to be hitting our IPA, but especially in a season like this where we're all traveling and, things are a little bit busy, just take 3 minutes to create a backup bare minimum IPA when things are crazy and you're traveling and your kids are throwing up, that you can take 15 minutes, no matter what, and do your bare minimum IPA, because we can all do this. And if you do that, that consistency will still compound you to a promotion at the beginning of the year. That bare minimum, using what you can, using what you have, that will take you so far. And you're, again, casting votes towards, no matter what craziness happens, I'm the kind of person who handles it. I'm the kind of person who still makes a way. And that mentality is what takes you up to diamond. Okay. So my suggestion for a bare minimum backup, everything collapsed and it was a horrible day IPA, is one poster story. Any one poster story. Do continue to build the trust with your audience. It can be so simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Perfection is the enemy of progress. And one reach out, You can do one reach out. It takes 1 minute, and one follow-up, 1 minute. You guys, that's like 5-minute IPA, and every single one of you can do that. So, and you'll find that when you do that bare minimum, you'll find that action begats more action. And you might just find yourself getting into more momentum after that, which will also lead you to greater success. So those are my belief builders, and I will pass it off to the next person. And I'm not sure who it is, but they know who they are.
Okay. Hey guys. Okay. I'm going to hop right in. So one I have to guard against, and I see a lot of people need to guard against this, is comparison. So this is a double-edged sword, and I want to let you know that it can be the most disempowering thing in your business, but if you spin it slightly, it can be the most empowering thing in your business. So you just have to guard against it. And it's the whole looking side to side thing, but it really starts to be kind of a self-attack. And I want you to think of a few things, because the thoughts you're having are lies when you're looking at somebody else and thinking my journey should look similar to theirs. I should be further along, this rank by this day, all the things. But if you didn't see anybody else's story, how would you know you're ahead or behind? All right. So to feel ahead or to feel behind means you're comparing right off the bat. You're comparing apples and oranges. You might as well be comparing like apples and carrots. Like, you're literally not even in the same ballpark, guys. You have no idea what that person's story was, what they went through in their childhood, their previous job, their relationships. All those things are pages in their book. So you could easily be comparing your page 51 to their page, 91. So believe that, and don't let your brain tell you otherwise, because it's easy to simplify and just try to compare out of the gate. You have no idea what burdens that person's blessings have brought. All right. It's real easy to see everything from the outside and kind of wish you had that or feel jealous of that. And I'm not saying you don't, but things aren't always quite what they appear. And with anything comes responsibility. So if you're not there yet, there's probably something you just need to learn first. And it's a good thing. You're never, Emily Gibson always says it, you're never behind. You're in the perfect spot at the perfect time. And so this is tied into kind of expectations. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like you're having a hard time being happy for other people who are, getting signs and ranking up, if you feel like your activity is going down, and like Natalie said, it feels less fun, you have most likely fallen into comparison. So at this point, you can just acknowledge neutrally that, hey, these are thoughts that human beings have, and I'm going to decide to kind of harness these thoughts and pivot. So my belief builders for these kind of times, and every day actually, is when I see other people, because it's impossible to like put your blinders on and never see anybody else. Like, I know that's not human. If they can do it, then I can do it. If them, why not me? It should literally be the most empowering thing, guys, seeing people go anywhere. That includes when they go backwards and have to go up again. Right. So let that encourage you. So for those of you who like to take notes, I have a few takeaways that all start with L. I was very proud of myself. All right. So something I do is I pick a mentor, a few things to look for in a mentor: somebody who has traits of someone you want to be like. Their story resonates with you in some way, not every way. And you see parts of yourself in them. So I suggest picking 2 to 3. You don't want to go too broad or too narrow, and lean in. That's your first L. Lean in. You're going to become so familiar with everything about them and their journey. And of course, knowing yours is not identical, but I need you guys to anchor, to fixate and to anchor on something, so you aren't too distracted, so you aren't constantly comparing. You're just going to focus on that. You're going to learn. So you're going to learn all the things they did, all the things they suggest. Most of the time, if you're leaning into somebody who's a mentor, they most likely have education that you can get your hands on. If they don't, reach out and ask them who they recommend. And don't get, Sabrina, I think, is going to talk about staying focused. Don't go too crazy with training, but you want to learn what you can from that person. The other L is to look back. I want you to look back at what was scary when you started this business. Make a list of like the 3 hardest things. And I would venture to guess those are pretty easy for you now. Look back at your life, some things that were really hard that you've learned and you've come through, and give yourself some credit, guys. If you've learned other hard things, you can learn these things. So get out of your head and just understand I'm in a learning process. I've looked back. I'm going to encourage myself. I have a focus that I'm leaning into. And I want you to start labeling yourself in a good way for a change. All right. I am somebody who's a really good learner. I'm somebody who's smart. I'm somebody who people trust and follow. I'm going to label myself as the leader that I want to be one day, and that I know I am becoming. Not I want to. I want to be really smart. I want to be a strong leader. I want to be consistent. You say the things I am. So speak those into existence, and then your brain will step in and do the work. And then last, listen. Who are you listening to? What are you listening to? And now I kind of hit on this. Make sure whenever your belief is not the strongest of that day, be careful who you talk to and who you surround yourself with. There are certain people in my life that are not going to encourage me about my business and give me the warm and fuzzies. I'm not going to talk to them on my weekdays. All right. I'm going to call people like Sabrina or Natalie, who I know are going to pour into me, point out my strengths, be encouraging, remind me of all the things that I'm forgetting that I've learned. And that's my last L. So I think Borges is next.
Oh, so good. So good. I'm taking notes over here too. My belief stealer wanted to talk about shame, because I think that that's one of the things, especially if there are any perfectionists on our call, which there's always a few of us here. It's shame, right? It's one of the things that will steal your joy. It's going to, I've always said that shame kills dreams because it keeps you stuck, paralyzes you. And if you're wondering, well, I don't struggle with that, or, if you're wondering if you struggle with shame, I would just see, try to listen to yourself and how you even speak. Because sometimes when I learned that I should have statements were actually rooted in shame, it shifted so much for me personally. So I should have gotten up earlier and done more. I should have signed up 3 more people this month. I should have ranked up last month. All these I should have statements are actually rooted in shame. And instead of saying, I should have, you can say, this is what I am going to do to, like Nat said, having a morning routine, for example. These are the steps I'm going to take to have that, instead of beating yourself up because you didn't do it. Or, I should have, followed up with this person, or this one customer, kind of fell through the cracks and I didn't follow up with her. I should have called her. All of that is rooted in shame. And so if you're struggling with that, guys, that is going to steal your joy. It's going to steal your belief like crazy, because you're too busy beating yourself up, being so hard on yourself. And there's no time for that. There's only forward, and you can't move forward if you're stuck in it, because it causes I am speaking from experience that it is so hard to move forward when you're beating yourself up. So be kind to yourself, because the antidote to shame is kindness to yourself, self-compassion. Like I said, create ways where you can feel like you are moving forward and getting better, and a plan, and you can set your goals out and your action plans without having that self-talk of like, I'm horrible and I should have done it better and I could have done this and I could. It's rooted in shame. So like I said, instead say, these are the ways I'm going to improve, and this is how I'm going to do it. Because if you struggle with shame, that it is very, very hard to impart all the things you want to impart on your team when you're self-focused. So have self-compassion and move forward. And now one of my belief builders is acquiring a longevity mindset, because that shifted so much for me in my business when I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to live beyond instant gratification. Like I'm going to look at my business and I'm going to think long term. I'm going to think, okay, I can have a bad day, but that's okay because it's not over today. It's not going to end today. Maybe you have a customer that returned their products. Have we all had a customer to return their products? You have a customer that returned your product. It's okay because I'm going to sign up 200 more people for that one person that didn't like their products. It's okay. I'm going to sign up more people that are going to love their products and it's going to change their life. And I'm going to be here for it. Also, the same way that we have product lifers, right? Like I'm a product, like the products really changed my health. So I'm going to be a business lifer too, because I know what the statistics say when you do this for the long haul and you stick with it and you stay faithful to a company. I know what the statistics say. You are going to be successful when you do that. When you're jumping from one thing to the next, you're not going to be successful at anything at all. And so having a longevity mindset, means that if you have a slow month, it's not going to derail you. Like you're going to keep looking into the future, knowing that there are more chances. Today is not your last chance. Like this is not, I just think it's a very unhealthy way to look at your business. And once again, you're going to beat yourself up for it, right? But when you have a longevity mindset, you're not going to go there. You're in it for the long haul. And I love what Tova said, I am becoming, right? Like you haven't arrived. No one here has arrived. We're all in it for the long haul. And if we struggle with something, we're going to figure it out and we're going to move forward. And so I think, sometimes we see other people's stories, same as what Tova was saying, and we compare our stories. But if you're here for the long haul and you're committed, because that's what longevity mindset is, right? It's where you decide and wholeheartedly commit to the process. So if you can do that, if you can commit to the process, that's going to only build your belief with time.
So incredible. I have some belief crushers that I wanted to talk about. And my biggest thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, because I didn't understand it fully when I first started Plexus, is negativity. What negativity actually looks like. Are you able to catch it in conversations that you're having? Are you able to realize it when it's creeping in? Are you able to grasp when it's a mindset shift? How does it really fit into your lifestyle? And I like to ask questions. So everybody in the chat, I like to do these. What does negativity look like to you? Let's see. Sorry, my notes are not catching up. Finding problems, not solutions. Seeing the glass half empty, complaining. Yeah. Constant complaining. Whizzing around. So these are all really good thoughts in a negative sense. Okay, so I want you to really think about it. Did you have an overall understanding of like what was negative before you really started looking into it? Do you know how fast negativity can alter your mindset and drag you down faster than anything else? That's what negativity does. And it doesn't always have to come from internal. It can come from external as well. So internal meaning negative thoughts. I'm just not good at this. I'm not a salesperson. I can't do these things. I don't have enough people. I don't have a big network. Those are self-internalizing negative thoughts that are not going to serve you. But there's also external things. There's conversations. There's who, like Natalie was saying before, who you surround yourself with. Have you ever gotten caught up in a situation and you can't remember how you got there, but it's like really negative, and by the time you left that conversation, you're like, how did that happen? These are the things that we want to be able to realize and catch ourselves before we get into it. Ask yourself this: do you feel good after having those conversations? Do you feel good after having those thoughts? That self-doubt, do you feel good about it? Catch yourself and change it. So I know we've all had these thoughts before. What is one, just one negative self-thought that you have ever had? Just one. Let's write it in the comments. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'll annoy people. I can't trust myself. These are all really, really good ones. But now, remember exactly what you just wrote and change it into a positive. So Anya said, people will unfriend me. People will flock to me. Make it a positive thought. So what you just said, I'm not smart enough. I am so smart. People come to me for my knowledge. Taking all of these self-negative thoughts and refocusing it into something positive. Thank you, Wendy. I can do this. Yes, you can. We all have the opportunity to overcome, but staying stuck in a negative mindset and negative behavior and negative community with negative friends, that's playing small. That's where the mediocre festers. You're well beyond that. I can achieve anything. I love that. So that's a belief crusher that I have to work on it myself. It is not something that comes natural to me, but focusing and realizing it on a daily basis has helped me overcome so much more. So belief builder is knowing it's all going to work out and staying focused. So again, in the comments, what does that statement mean to you when I say stay focused? Success is inevitable. I can achieve anything. What does staying focused? It's not about right now. Keep positive mindset. Consistent success, having a plan. These are awesome. Listen, we all live busy lives. We all have situations come up. We all get distracted at some point. We're wives, we're mothers, we're friends, we're parents, we're aunts, we are people. And in a sense, there's always going to be something that is going to come up in whatever it may be. Like right now, it's the holidays. We might be packing and traveling for holidays. We could have birthdays. The list can go on. You can, I don't know, your child is sick at the current moment. There's always going to be something that is going to try to pull you away from where you are. But you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, what is going to be strong enough to refocus and rebalance me? What is going to be so important to me that I need to refocus, even when things are so chaotic and stressful and crazy? What is my anchor that is going to bring me back to where I started? And I have 3 questions that I ask myself consistently. And no, I did not come up with these questions. I heard it somewhere, probably one of Christina's videos. But one was, why did I join Plexus in the first place? Not, I don't like where I am right now. I wish I was gold. I'm only gold. I don't like hearing that. Think about why you started Plexus to begin with. For me, it was mental health, and I achieved that. Number 2, what are some wins I've had along the way? You gained a community right there. I'm going to tell you, if nothing else, you gained a community, you gained friendships, you gained health, you've gained knowledge, you've gained so much. Think to yourself, what are some wins I've had along the way? And number 3, and then I'm going to pass it off to Kylie. What do I want out of my Plexus journey? And what would it mean if I achieved it? These are things I want you to really go back to, because it's the stuff that was in the beginning that was fun and exciting. And that's what's going to get us focused, because that's what made us start to begin with. So go ahead, Kylie.
Hey y'all. Okay, I'm gonna wrap us up with mine. So I'm gonna start. I had this article that I had read and I actually went and found it because it was just so good for me, talking about building your belief. And what I chose as a builder is taking action. So I went and pulled this up, and this author, what he was sharing, so he writes and stuff, but what drew me into his article and like reading all of it was, he said, do you want to know how I became a confident writer? I wrote and published an article. Then I wrote and published another, and then another. With every new line, I discovered a greater sense of self-belief. With every new story, my voice amplified. And with every new set of articles, my confidence expanded. And when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Because action, if you don't take action, you're not going to get anywhere. And as a person who really struggles with self-assurance and like always, second guessing myself and not like, oh, wait, is this the right thing to do? Should I do this? And constantly just second guessing every single thing that I do. It's hard. So I get it. But I will say that when I finally figured out that I could feel fear or feel like I don't have it figured out and still take action, that is where I started to grow and evolve. And so he had created this little chart, which made perfect sense. And so I loved it. So he showed that you start with action. So you take action no matter what it is. For him, it was writing, and he would write an article and it went on. But as you take action over time and you repeat it, you're going to improve and you're going to get better. And as you get better, that is what is going to lead into your competence. So as you do it over and over, you're going to get to competence. Your competence is what is going to fuel your self-belief. And so once you start to feel a little bit of self-belief and that's picking up, that is what is going to boost your confidence. And that is what is going to motivate you to take action again. And so if you look at this little like thing that goes round and round, it all starts with action. But I wanted to say a few other things because I think Natalie, she may have already said this quote, but action comes before the confidence to act. It's action that begets confidence, not the other way around. So it's going to be regardless of how you feel. You're not going to feel like, wow, I really want to do this. This is so scary. What are people going to think and all that stuff? It doesn't matter how you feel. You're not going to feel confident in doing whatever you're doing. But every single person has started at the exact same place. We have all started with nothing. There's nobody here that is just a natural born leader or entrepreneur, any of that. So you have to take action regardless of how you feel. Action brings more clarity than thought. And I'm going to share in just a few seconds a few of the things that may keep you from taking action. But I love that it said action brings more clarity than thought, because a lot of times I think clarity of like what we're wanting to do, or maybe we feel overwhelmed, or we're like, where do we start? Whatever it is, I think that if you can just pick one small little thing, somebody else said this too, if you can focus on one thing, one little step, showing up, taking action, and it will bring more clarity. And so that's really important. And as you walk on the way appears. I love this because as you kind of like look at that little circle and you take action and you start going around and you start building confidence, it's going to help you grow as a person to like reach new levels, and your confidence is going to grow and grow and grow. And you're going to start to look at yourself as, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can show up. I can be that person that I really want to be. And it also can like maybe something you had for yourself, an idea of like something you thought you wanted to do. I think when you take action, it can help you eliminate things of maybe that isn't the route that I wanted to go. And so it can really help you figure out where you want to go as a person and hone in on the things that you're really good at and all of that. So let me make sure Okay, so that's all I wanted to share about taking action, but also the thing that I put as like the killer of belief is going to be inaction. And there's like, I think a lot of things that can cause you to not take action, but something that I wrote down is it's easy to think of inaction as simply the lack of action, but inaction is an action. It's a conscious choice to maintain the status quo. And I wrote down this quote here that says, the price of inaction is far greater than the cost of making a mistake. And I think when you don't take action, it causes paralysis. And if you look at the graph that I was talking before, it kind of goes backwards. You start to lose any of that momentum that you have built up. You start to like feel less confident. You start to like lose that self-belief. You start to feel like whatever you learned or you felt competent in, it starts to go away, and you start to get all that head stuff coming in, and you're like, wow, I don't know if I can do this. And so it creeps back in, which can also go with what Natalie was saying, why it's so important that you're filling your cup, because it does leak and you have to be so mindful of that. And so some of the things that I have wrote down that could cause you to not take action: the fear of criticism or judgment, procrastination, lack of time, and lack clarity. But I think that knowing these things, and also kind of what I said, even if you think that inaction is not something you're choosing, it is something that you are choosing, being mindful of that. And basically that's kind of what I had here. So I guess I'll wrap it up with that. I don't know if Nat, if you want to end it there.
That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. You guys, it's Magic Week, hugest week of the year. So go out there and close some folks, you guys. Talk to y'all soon.